Hi guys, I'm Big List, and today I wanted to bring you. I wanted to do an Asmongold style video. You know, he does these kinds of videos sometimes, where he just puts his phone camera down. He talks to you with his honest thoughts, no scripts, no nothing. Just says what he says and what he thinks, and it's very genuine. And today I want to talk about the discourse going on in Destiny. Oh man. and personally, there's a whole lot of there's a whole lot of back and forth about, oh, is Destiny 2 is way better than Destiny 1, and oh, Destiny 3, which is, oh, it'd be so terrible, and oh my god, like first off, and I want to set the record straight, and I want to give my thoughts about what I really think about the franchise. So today, this video is going to be about why I personally like Destiny 1 more than Destiny 2. Um, I understand this is very subjective, but I'm gonna give my reason why I like it a lot better than D2. And I mean, in my honest opinion, like I feel like it is objectively better than D2. That's just me though. Um, but I'm very passionate about it. I've played Destiny the whole 10 years. I've been a beta player since Xbox. I was an Xbox Destiny player. Um, I was not on the PlayStation Alpha, so I'm not the most veteran of all cases. Only a beta player. Um, and I love the franchise. I love the game. I have tryharded it my entire life, um, with the exception of taking a break when I was in like doing other things with jobs. So, um, I'm not as good as Asmongold, and my cat's back here. I love my kitty cat. She's chilling back here on the bed. I'm not as good as Asmongold. I might need to pull up my notepad to remind myself of some of the points I want to make, and I'm very passionate about the subject, and I hope this video doesn't go on for 30 minutes. We're already almost 3 minutes in. I haven't even started why. So let me get right into it. I'm going to try to separate this into two parts of what I think makes Destiny 2 bad as a whole game period, and my personal grievances why and the points I like in D1 better, um, as me, not necessarily D2's problem. So I want to start with what I think is D2's problem as a game on its own, and why I don't think it's really that, like, or at least right now at the point it's at, it's not good. It's not that good. It's not. It really isn't. Um, so I think a lot of people don't talk about, and what I'm about to bring up, I feel like a lot of people don't talk about. Um, and I find it really weird. I don't know if I have more. I'm actually, I'm just not. I'm not even gonna say it. Um, so my main problem with D2 is it, at the very basics of video games, right? It lacks basic video game mechanics, functions, progression, fundamentals. Like, it is so bad. It's why new players can't get into the game at all. It is not it has zero replayability, and oh man, the progression is just non-existent. Um, so let me get into that, and I'm going to compare D1 and D2. Oh, I am going to do this. I don't care how different the games are; they have similarities, and I think they're great similarities. I will be comparing Destiny to both World of Warcraft, WoW, Retail WoW, Final Fantasy 14, the two biggest MMOs, and I do want to make classic WoW comparisons too. Um, so just I want to preface that now. So here's this is how does every video game work, right? You start a new game, like unless you're playing like some single player story that doesn't really have like a leveling system or whatever, or campaign. Every video game has a progression, a leveling system, and this is like, okay, I'm level 1, like I don't have anything, I gotta like level up, I gotta unlock my gear, I gotta I have to earn things. So literally, this is every video game does that. I don't know. Maybe there's. I mean, I don't know if there's another game that does it like Destiny 2. Because let me tell you, D2, it is not. So we got. I'm going to start off with D1, and I'm going to go with current. I'm going to go with current D1 for now. I'm going to save other D1 topics for another day. Like, oh, should there be classic D1? Should D1 be on PC? Um, no, I'm just gonna start with. I'm just gonna start with why I think the game is better. So in D1 progression, um, you start off the game from the beginning at its story. The very beginning. You're level 1. You gotta get out of the Cosmodrome. Oh, you pick up your Kvostov. Oh, there's a special weapon in this chest. You get a heavy weapon one mission later. You level up to level 2. You get your grenade ability. You get your melee ability. You get your super at level 4. All of these things. This is just basic gaming fundamentals. And the problem with D2 at its current pace and how it's been for years, and it's going to continue to be like this, is it lacks every basic game, like just the most basic of fundamentals. You 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 start off from the Cosmodrome, you get your weapons, and actually, you get everything very quickly. There is first thought, well, there right now in D2 there is no leveling system. It's just gear power. It's just your power level, your light level, or whatever you want to call it now. Um, and I'll get into this later. In the light level at this point in the game, it's just so meaningless. It's so pointless. Oh, it's so bad. So in D1, and this is the same for like WoW. This is the same for retail and Final Fantasy right now, right? You have your levels, and then you have your gear level. So you level from level 1 to 80, or level 1 to 100 for WoW retail and Final Fantasy. For Destiny 1, you start off at level 1, you go to level 40, while you also have your gear score on the side. And through this progression, you unlock all your stuff, and then in D1 we had the class trees, right? So, um, and it's the same for retail and classic in Final Fantasy. You level up and you unlock all your abilities, and this leads you into like you basically like learn. You very slowly learn your class and get a real understanding of it. So, and then on top of just basic level progression, what about the gear progression in D1? You start off, you get your whites, you get your white Kvostov, blah, blah, blah. And then, okay, you start to get your greens. Some quests will give a green. You'll find those greens in the wild. You got the golden chests that give out the greens. You're like, okay, I'm getting my greens. Then you get onto the blues for the rares. Then you get your first legendaries. You start your legendaries, and then obviously you have the exotics. So you have one for your weapon and one for your armor. In D2, they just the D2, it's so heavily looter shooter now. It's super 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 heavy. And like you just get thrown blues and purples right at you off the get go. You get exotic super easily now, almost off the get go. Like it's just super bizarre, and there's no progression to it at all, right? And then in the case of D2 as well, so like there's no leveling. It's just your gear power. The At this point in the game, the light level is all the way up the low levels all the way up to 2,000 now, right? As a new player, you know, you start at level one, okay, and it makes a lot of sense. You level up being very slowly. Even gear power in these games, it starts at a very low number. You start a game as D2 player, um, you're at like level 1900, and you're like, okay, this is weird. Like, I'm already level 1900. Like, how where are the power levels like in this game? Like, so like, there's the sense of scale is horrible, and getting to max is just so meaningless and just super just easy and just effortless. Um, and so that is just basically the main problem. And then like unlocking your subclass in D2, you don't level up and earn your fragments or your grenades and stuff. You go to Ikora and you buy every I haven't sworn yet in this video. I don't think I'm gonna be swearing. You go to Ikora and buy all your fucking stuff, and it's like, okay, awesome. I guess I'll just farm Glimmer to buy all this. Um, and that gets confusing. Then, oh, what's all the good stuff? Like you don't progress and unlock things like at all. You don't. You just don't. And so that's why I like the progression of D1 so much. And I'm gonna refer to, um, like, we're going back. All right, you you level up, you get your greens, you get your blues, and then, oh man, well, now we gotta get up to like, I guess I would do current D1, finished all the way to Rise of Iron Age of Triumph. Um, you do go through all the campaigns, and okay, well, we need to get some legendary gear to be able to do like normal Wrath of the Machine, which is 385, or I think normal Wrath of the Machine was maxed at 385 power level. So you got to grind to get the 350, and you kind of just do whatever strikes Crucible to get your blues all the way. I don't quite remember exactly the Rise of Iron light levels and how they worked intricately as much as I have fond memories of classic D1. But you get the, let's say, like 330, then you got to start buying the legendary. You got to start buying legendary gear from your vendors, from your Crucible, your Vanguard, or your factions. And then you go into normal raid. You do the normal raid, and you get the normal raid gear. And I think this goes I think they maxed it out at 385. So you're gonna go into like normal Wrath, like 380 or less gear. So you get 385 normal Wrath gear. I don't know. Did it go to 400? I don't quite remember. Either way, the progression of Destiny 1 was, okay, you level up, you get max level, then you gotta get your pre-raid best. Not necessarily best, whatever you could do. Normal raids in D1 were stupid easy. Anyone can do them for whatever gear. You go into normal D1, you go into D1 Wrath on normal mode. You do normal mode Wrath until, like, okay, all right, now we can go to hard mode in Wrath of the Machine and get all of our gear in hard mode, and with all our normal mode gear. So now you got your best in slot for normal, and now you're going to hard to really get to the top and max out your character. This in my opinion this is the way to go. WoW does this. You play through a campaign. You do your dungeon you get your dungeon gear. You go into a normal raid for retail, and do the normal raid, and then you do the heroic, and then if you're really tryhard, then you do the mythic raiding. I don't like Mythic Plus. I'm not going to talk about Mythic Plus for retail WoW. I really don't like it. And it's the same for Classic WoW. You're leveling the 1 through 60. It is the journey. Now, I'm not saying that D1 leveling is all that in the bag of chips like Classic WoW. Classic WoW leveling is that it is actually the game, and it's fun. I'm not saying D1 leveling is all rainbows and sunshine. Like it's nothing like a Classic WoW leveling where it's not the same. It really isn't. But I feel like the fundamentals of it is where it lies, why it is good. Is, classic WoW, you get whites, oh, okay, I'm starting to get some greens, and then you start to do like dead mines. You start to get your blue, you get blues from these quests and stuff, and you get these drops, and like this is awesome. And that's another thing, strike specific loot that is fun and not necessarily rare, but fun to chase and specific to strikes. Um, that's another topic for another day. But the progression of D1 uh, as a whole in all points of the game, especially vanilla D1, is prevalent of how these other MMOs work. And I just it boggles my mind. Like D2 at its current point is okay. You level up, or you do literally any activity in the game. I forget what I think the soft cap is 1960 or 1970. You do basically literally anything to get to 1960, 1970, and then okay, well you gotta do your like powerful grinds or your powerful tier ones, which is basically just like whatever the fuck, like the Vanguard Crucible challenges and the Pathfinder, and then Prime Ingrams help a lot. Then you do all your powerfuls, and you do your Pinnacles, which they're all listed out. Which I guess you could compare that to like other versions of grinding, but it's just like unorganized, random. Like at this point, like, and the problem with D2 is a lot of the high end game activities are they put you on purpose, several light levels under level. And I don't think this is necessarily a bad thing. It's I like the way that the MMOs do it, and like D1 does it, is like, okay, you go through the normal raid. Okay, you're probably gonna be under leveled at first for your normal raid, and then when you first do your hard mode raid, you're gonna be under leveled. But eventually, after so many hard mode levels, you're finally gonna max out your character and be at light, or in the case for D1 for like Crota, Skolas, and I mean, yeah, that's pretty much it. Actually, the Crota and Skolas was the only ones that really had hard mode was above the max level, and it wasn't too well. It was a little bit drastic, but it was doable, especially when you were finally maxed out with all the best gear. And D2, like, you do basically, well, there is no hard mode raid. Okay, there's master raids, but there's no reason to do them. There is absolutely zero reason to do them. Adept gear is boring, not interesting at all. Provides a 0.1% upgrade to what the raid gear already exists. And getting max level just isn't meaningless when every single activity in the game just puts you at which is below light anyway. I don't think that's good. In my opinion, it's not good for the entirety of the end game. And it's like, okay, well, how do we fix master raids? Like, I'm telling you, the way to fix it is instead of putting you 20 light levels under and adding champions and just harder enemies into each counter, we got to go back to mechanical changes. I mean, I don't know if it's going to work at this point in the game, but I think this is just how it fundamentally should have been this whole time. We had it at the start with Prestige of Life, and except it wasn't perfect back then either, because the point that D1 had was, you had to do normal, and then you had to upgrade to hard, and then you just did hard. You just back in D1. When you could do hard mode, you just did hard mode. Like, we didn't just go and do normal. Like, why would we do normal? Well, to be fair, in D1, when you did hard, you got both normal and hard at the same time. In master, you get singular drops. You don't get normal and master drops, so that's also a problem. But there's no reason to do master. Why do I want to keep doing master 20 levels under for a 0.1% upgrade? This is preposterous. Like this is just stupid. In D1, they you got separated loot pools for normal and hard mode, where okay, like you got like I think for Wrath. Honestly, I'd have to go back and look at the videos, but basically in Wrath, like the sniper and like Chaos Dogma was in the hard mode loot pool, while the rest of the guns. This is just an example, by the way, and then most of the other guns were in the normal mode. They incentivize hard mode by okay, you're gonna get the you get the highest like stuff in hard mode. You got to do the hardest content in the game to get there. Unlike D2, where you basically just do any activity. Like activities just give pinnacles from there's a pinnacle from every activity. It's dumb. And I'm sorry, I don't care about the casuals. Listen, I okay, I shouldn't say I don't care about them. I don't care. I don't think the game should have been catered to the casuals so much. Um, Man, we're 20 minutes in, and I'm not done yet. I'm nowhere near done yet, by the way. So this is gonna be really fun. Um, in D1, you do hard mode to get max light, and then you also do it to get the other drops in the raid that aren't in the normal. In D2, you're just doing it for a 0.1% upgrade on your adept that you're just going to enhance, or it doesn't even matter because you can craft them anyway now. Crafting was a huge mistake, by the way, for raid weapons. Absolutely not. Oh my god, there's so many topics I can get into, and I really don't want to turn this to an hour video. I'm gonna try to keep it to 30 minutes or 40 minutes. I'm sorry. If you are passionate about it and want to stay into it, I'd appreciate it because I do like debate. Um, so I'm gonna continue on. I want to get in the D1 Classic a little bit. Vanilla Vogue. So you get the level 20, right? And then that's when you have to do your gear leveling. And you got into your like level 22 strikes. You got to do your level 24 strikes. You did your level 26 strikes. Then you had the Nightfall, which I think was at level 28. So once you get the 26, you got your 26 blues. Then you can start getting legendaries from the Vanguard and Crucible vendors. So okay, you go in the normal Vault of Glass with like one or two, and you got Vision of Confluence dropping, you got Found Verdict dropping, you got Atheon's Epilogue dropping, and then most of you have the materials dropping, and most of the gear dropped except for the helmet. Okay, you're like level 28, level 29 now, and okay, now it's time for hard mode Vogue at max level 30, and then you have to get Fatebringer from hard mode only. You got to get Praetus Timepiece from hard mode only. Vex Mythoclast is obviously hard mode only. You cannot get it on normal Vogue. And that's the gear progression that makes it fun and awesome. Like in D2, right now it's just like, okay, I do the raid. Oh, I got the raid drops. Well, I have to get I gotta get 5 red borders to craft it so I can get it perfectly rolled later. This is not exciting at all. Like this is just stupid, by the way. So let me touch on crafting a little bit. I think crafting in D2 was wholly a mistake entirely, but I will give benefit of the doubt where I think crafting is going to be fine from now on if they do it correctly for just, seasonal weapons. I think it's fine for seasonal weapons. I think it's fine for just like world drops and like the normal like Crucible, Vanguard, and Gambit drops. Whatever, that's fine. Raid weapons, biggest mistake of all time. And to the people that don't like the RNG grind of, I can't get the perfect roll. That's another video for another day, by the way. My solution to this is I think it should be like D1 again. And this is going to be a little weird, which is actually fixed raid weapon rolls. Fatebringer in D1 is Firefly Outlaw. All the raid weapons now are all randomly rolled. You are playing the end game content, the hardest end game content at the time, for the best loot. It makes sense. And I think it's perfectly fine that this best loot was fixed, and obviously it's made to be the best. And so I think that's the way to go with these raids is so with that and whatever armor changes they do in the future to make it replayable, you separate loopholes. You make master relevant first of all. I mean the whole game and level system has to change fundamentally. Like I said, the normal the weapons need to be interesting and fixed, and then to add a little bit of replayability, you need to make them a little bit rare. And I'm talking like, okay, let's think. I'm gonna use I guess I'll use the new raid, Salvation's Edge. You put the bow and I don't even remember the submachine gun like on normal, and then you put like the sword and no or the sniper and the pulse rifle on hard on master with fixed rolls. Now you can give it okay. And like for example, you give like the bow on like the first two encounters would be like a 20% drop rate, a little bit rarer than the armor. That way there is a little bit of replayability, and you will get it. You will eventually get it. I'm gonna stray away from community complaints and try to just say what I think. Um, and when you finally get it, like you got it, like awesome, you got the best gear in the game. Like then you're like, okay, well I'm done with the raid now. I got it. But as long as it took some effort to get it, that's fine. Grinding the raid over and over again at this current point, because I'm gonna say this: the point of it is to get 5 out of 5 red border rolls to craft it. Like you could get it and just like enhance it right away. Can you enhance? Can you? I don't I forget if you can enhance raid weapons, but you get the perfect roll. But it's like, oh well, this is I don't this is dumb because I gotta craft it still. I gotta get the enhanced versions of the perks. Like whatever, it's not exciting at all. Not exciting at all. And then my other point for raid loot is everything is tied to triumphs, and it is not rare drops. I think rare drops are a necessity. Um, Wrath of the Machine Ship, Nano Phoenix, estimated probably about a 1% drop rate. This is awesome, by the way. This like the true players are going to grind and commit, and they will want it. The people nowadays, oh man, again, I'm gonna try to stay away from the community. Uh, my community complaints is like there's nothing rare, there's nothing fun to chase after all the time, and I think those cosmetic 1%, like that ship, brings replayed. Like I played the Wrath over and over till I got that damn ship. I finally got it 1 week before D2 came out. I did Wrath 3 times a week, and oh my god, was it awesome when I fucking got it. And it's just not like that anymore. It's just you do the master challenges, and oh here you go, here's the ship. You did them all, awesome. And people complain about the exotic drop rates for some of the exotics, like, oh, I've done this 50 times and I didn't get the exotic. Part of me wants to say tough luck, but a part of me, I support battle luck protection up to a point for an exotic because it directly affects gameplay, unlike a ship and a sparrow. And I think the drop rate increases for the triumphs are really good, and at least in my opinion, in my experience, and from what I've seen from other people, they are actually really effective. So honestly, I don't think rated exotics are really a problem for me right now. So I really hope I got my point across with progression in D2. I can get into so many other things. Jesus. The lack of factions, factions are just okay, you know what? Before I move on to that, actually, let me just finish off with this. Removed content from D2, right? I don't care how healthy it was for the game in terms of like bugs, everything working correctly. I don't know another game, period, that just removes paid content in mass at all times. It's like our I don't I don't care how we like I don't know how we psyoped ourselves into thinking this was ever a good thing. It is horrible. That removes so much replayability. That's the great thing about D1 is you can go back and have fun leveling through and play the entire game. You just can't do that in D2 at all. You can't. Imagine in WoW or Final Fantasy currently if Blizzard just removed anything from classic all the way to wrath content in retail. Like you just couldn't go back and get your transmogs and do that content period at all that time walking dungeons and stuff gone. Like you just straight up can't do it at all. Imagine the fucking uproar. Imagine in Final Fantasy 14 the Crystal Tower raid was complete. People might like that. The Crystal Tower raid was removed, and the Coils of Bahamut was just completely removed. You couldn't go back and play those at all. And I know people love to replay Final Fantasy raids. I like to. And so, like, this is just preposterous. No one does this. This is insane. Why? Like, it's not good. There is no objectiveness to it. It is just bad. There is no debate. Like, this should have never happened, and it's still a problem for the game. I don't care. People go like, oh, I don't want to play your old content, but like, we need it in the game for new players to have a consistent growth of going from one expansion to the other, and going back and like people are going to go back and replay them. There are going to be people who do that. There are people who are going to want to replay the game, period, as a whole. And so there really is just no debate for the remove content. Like, yeah, the game might have been 500 gigabytes on your hard drive, but like, I don't know. Like, I'm not a game designer. I don't know how that shit works, but that's another, and that's again another conversation for a possible like should D3 be a for a Destiny 3 to be a thing. So I'm gonna end it there. I hope I got most of my points across. Because I think of all these points in detail, and sometimes when I'm here to explain my thoughts, I forget a lot. Basic game fundamentals. Now, I'm gonna make this part super. I'm gonna try to make this part super short. My personal reason for why I think D1 is a better game is it leaned more into being an MMO compared to D2. D2 at this point basically has lost any sort of like MMO like or MMO systems, or it's just the way it is now. The only thing in MMO really about D2 period is like dungeons and raids at this point. I'm gonna be honest. And then in D1, right? I already explained it. Like the whole leveling system. It's the whole leveling system. You're getting your greens, you're getting your blues. You do your strikes. Oh, you buy some stuff from the vendor. Oh, you get your raid materials. You get your raid weapons. It's the whole progression system is the whole thing. But also, I'm gonna go back to like factions, like the New Market Dead Orbit stuff. Like the factions were healthy for the game, and was just like another subset of loot to go after. And also like Iron Banner being meaningful back in the day, by the way. So the thing with how D2 isn't an MMO anymore is like one, like there's nothing rare to chase. It's all just super looter shooter. The game just gives out everything to you super fast, and there is grind in D2. I'm not saying there is not grind at all. There is definitely grind to it. The grind is just really not there anymore, and it's not exciting. In D1, right? You grind up, and you have to get max level by doing the hard mode raid. Or you know what? And in D2, it's not the same. I know I already talked about this, but um, the loot in D2 I know is a big problem right now because no one's interested in it. So yeah, loot is just a big problem right now in Destiny. Um, and it's the fact of like it's just like there is no point for me to get most of these weapons when I already have stuff that is just better. There's so much stuff that comes out that is just worse or just barely a 1% upgrade for what I already have. In D1, like you had to sunsetting is a good thing, by the way. Um, I don't care what anyone says. Sunsetting weapons periodically, long periods, not super short periods, is a good thing. It is healthy for the game, and you get into new weapons, and things become exciting again. In D1, that was everywhere, man. That like leaving everything behind the Taken King. Or when Taken King came out, yep, yeah, that was awesome. Sunsetting D2, yeah, I don't care. That was awesome. You know, having to get everything. But the problem is, if you do it, you need to have replacements for it and plenty of it. Um, so yeah, D2 right now is just not interesting at all. Uh, D1 was interesting all the time. There's new stuff all the time. The whole progression, getting, oh my gosh, it's so just like weird how I don't know. It's too looter shooty for me in D2 in my opinion. Um, in D1, there's a lot of points that I get into, but let me just list them off. I talked about the grind a little bit. Um, I can go more in depth into it, but man, I could make a literally an hour video about it, and I don't really want to do that. Rare drops, exotics not being rare anymore, factions, remove content, transmog, and D2 is better. Not perfect, but it is obviously better. Destiny 1 content drought. I understand it was a problem. Yeah, and, man, I'll touch on this. I should have started off the video with this, and I recognize D1 had a lot of problems. I do. Um, but for those problems compared to what the D2 problems are now, it's just D2's problems are so much worse. It's I can basically at the end of D1 now compared to how many problems there is in D2 now, I can name a million things wrong with D2 right now compared to very little in D1 right at its full content. Um, and then I wrote down like the mystery of D1 and how but it's benefit of the doubt for being a whole new game in general. The mystery of it, not established world, like seeing like what the fuck was out there, in patrol and stuff. And then I got a little bit into the random rules and crafting. So those are a lot of my points. Again, I can make an hour video. I really could. We're at 40 minutes almost. Let me touch on the MMO aspect a little bit more because I feel like I didn't explain myself too well. It just feels like if I thoroughly said what I said about the whole leveling system in D2, like it's non-existent. The power level doesn't matter. You're 20 levels behind anyway. You just do whatever content randomly at whatever point, and there's just no coherent consistency to it. In D1, like the whole I explained this already. The whole system of how the progression worked, having factions for other sources of gear, rare exotics, your best in slots, materials to grind for. D2 has severely reduced all their materials down to such bone water nothing because of people complaining about, oh, there's too many materials, which I think could be debatable in my opinion. The problem was basically every season had a new material, which was kind of dumb, but there I don't think that was as big as an issue as everyone said it was. Yeah, man, I'm gonna be done with this video and think of, well, man, I forgot to say this and that. Like and I'm gonna have to write it down. Oh, did I mention Eververse even? Oh man, I don't even get me started on Eververse. I don't care how cosmetic it is. It's a pay. You pay for the game. I'm very anti. I'm very anti like store stuff for games. Like I don't like an Eververse. I don't like an on. I don't like cosmetics and I don't like it. For any free games, it's okay. I mean, that's another discussion for another day. But Destiny 2 is not a free game. It is free trial, more like. Um, Eververse in D1 was very bare bones, and you could. It was not fully established at all. It was super bare bones, and you can buy what you want directly. Um, Other than say some of the loot box stuff, like for the Taken armor or the current Age of Triumph like box. But you could earn them in game, and you could easily get all of them, earn all of them without paying any money. I know because I did it myself. Um, so yeah, I touched on the Eververse and how D1 just as a whole, with its loot, progression, and overall mystery just feels like a better. I personally I really like MMOs. Um, in D2 just kind of lost all sorts of meaning for an MMO. Like for example, like Final Shape, the Pale Heart Patrol, just there. It's just you. There, you can queue up for the whatever the event is, on the thing for players, but Bungie made it so you're the only one on patrol now. Like, really? Are we serious? I don't care how small of it is, small part of the game it is. That's just not good, and all sense of like any meaningful leveling from the game is completely removed. Uh, and basically, the only thing that's MMO like in this game is just like dungeons and raids and like all the raid mechanics and stuff like that. Um, it's buy all your talents and stuff like Korra. Oh man, it's just it is not that good. Um, you don't learn anything. It's horrible. It is very anti new player friendly and bad replayability. Basically, what I'm getting at, I can go on D1 right now on my PlayStation and have fun leveling a new character, just like people do in Classic WoW. People go back to Classic WoW all the time and level a whole new character from 1 to 60. It's fun. It's so much fun. In D2, I can't imagine myself in 10 years looking back on current D2 now and be like, wow, I really want to level a new character, because you just don't do that. Like you start the game and you get free handouts of purples and exotics. Now, trust me, there's a lot of exotics in the game that you have to grind. There is grind to it, but it's so just like whatever. It it is not nearly on the same level as like some of these other MMOs in D1. Um, this video is approaching 45 minutes. I'm going to stop it here. I really hope I got my main point across. um, because man, like I said, I can keep going, and I don't want that to happen. So I'm gonna end it here. Again, I'm Big List. I hope to be making more videos like this again. I wanted to do one about why I think Destiny 3 would be the way to go if done correctly. And I have other video ideas that kind of just left my head. I should have wrote them down. Um, but yeah, I hope to catch you guys sometime again. Hope this is fun, and I hope someone watches this. I really don't care if anyone watches this at all, but I just thought it was fun to do and how passionate I am about D1. So I'll see you guys next time. Thank you very much for watching. See you later.